All right, I'm Matt Jones and I am making an immersive RPG in Godot. And this is devlog number 3. And once again, I have to start off by apologizing. I've still been moving and painting and doing all that stuff, so I haven't had anywhere to put my computer. So it's been over 2 weeks since I've been able to record anything. Right now, I'm actually snuck into a garage and I'm recording from there. So hopefully no one will interrupt and drive in here and run over me or anything. But let's see. I've been working on a lot of small features. Um, they're kind of laying the groundwork for bigger stuff, and I've having to do a lot of research into other things. So it's just going to be a bunch of small things, but it really will be laying the foundation for a lot of cool new features that are coming up. So first, let's see here. Um, one of the small features I added is better glass windows. For instance, here I added some windows to the convenience store, and they are breakable. You can shoot these, and it'll break it into a bunch of little pieces. And right now I'm using the same square chunks that I was using for breakable doors. I mean, this is cool, but I mean, this is like 400 little. God, get away from me, store clerk. 400 little physics bodies that have to be now processed by Godot, so it's very taxing on the system, and I obviously don't want it to have it break into little cubes like it's some kind of Minecraft clone. I'll change it to be like triangular shards, and then it will only have to do a couple of them. And if you look closely, they do look like glass. It's this cool material, so it looks really it looks cool. I'm not really a graphics programmer, but to me, it's like, wow, that looks cool because it looks like glass. Let me show you the material. It's just a mesh instance, and then you set the transparency flag, and then in the albedo you set the color to just any light blue with some alpha, and then you set the metallic to 0.47 and the roughness to 0.03, and then you get like this cool little glass material you can use on breakable glass. And again, it may seem stupid to people that are graphics programmers, but to me, it's like a nice little thing that looks neat. Okay, what else? Oh, in up until very recently, if you look at the way I'm doing shadows, like here at nighttime, um, like the light from this spotlight or this street lamp looks good. Like if you look at the shadow here, but then if I switch to the car, the headlights look. Where am I going here? The headlights look terrible. Like there's a weird. I think it's actually called shadow acne. Let me see here. You see here on the right, this looks great, like the transition from the shadow to the light area, but then over here it looks terrible. I mean, it's got these weird stripes and it looks horrible. I believe this is called shadow acne, and let me show you the fixed version here. Um, see here, make it nighttime. See if I switch back to the car. Now we have this uh, nice directional lights. Before it wouldn't affect omni lights, but it would only affect directional lights. See, it looks so much better. I was really concerned for a while that I wouldn't figure out how to fix this, but there's a cool way to get around that. Um, let's see. If you go to Godot, the issue tracker, and you look at issue 16787, and again, I'll link to this at the bottom. Basically, if you look at this person's screenshots, you can see they have the same problem. Um, and let's see, who was a person? This person, Def7, has a explanation of why. Basically, you need to set the culling and the bias to get around that because it's kind of a bug in Godot. Let me show you how to do that. Let me show you on the headlights here. Boop, 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 boom. Yeah, so we have a spotlight, and then in the shadow here, you turn reverse cull face on, and then you make the bias negative, and that will get around. I didn't look into exactly why that does it like that, but this will fix the problem. So if you have a spotlight and you're getting weird shadow, quote, shadow acne, this might be the problem. And here's a way to get around it. Let's see, what else have I been doing? Oh, whoops. May have noticed a second ago when I was running around the convenience store there, the NPCs were moving because I've been doing more research into AI and navmeshes. Oh, I'm in the wrong one here. Sorry about that. Let me switch back to nighttime or daytime. Let's go to noon. Okay, so now we have a little NPC store clerk that he basically mans his store, and it uses a nav mesh. You can see everything. It's kind of hard to see because of the angle of the light, but there's a green line around everything that shows where the nav mesh is. And this is very simple. I have his set up to just every couple seconds he'll like run over to this red cube here and answer this. It's supposed to be a phone, and to simulate answering a phone, or he'll decide to follow the player around, or run over here to this dumpster and empty the dumpster, or go over here and do like a little smoke break, or run back inside to the store and check the shelves. And again, this is just to like practice the pathfinding with the nav meshes. And one of the things about Godot, let's see, I'm using 3.4, is the nav meshes. They're missing a lot of essential functionality. For instance, you have to bake them, which means you can't do that at runtime. So if you change something, for instance, if I picked up this table and moved it over here, the NPCs wouldn't see the changes to the nav mesh because you can't do that at runtime unless you use some sort of third-party plugin. So for now, I'm just going to use this nav mesh and do some like raycast for things like doors and stuff that are in the way. And then when they add the new nav mesh server or whatever it's called in Godot 4, I'll switch over to that. But I mean, this was, it seems like a silly little thing, but it was a huge pain in the butt. And this is an open, don't forget that this is an open world game, so I need to be able to have multiple nav meshes. For instance, if you look over in the distance here, let me just drive over there in the car. Oh look, I added the new camera to the car, so now you can move it and see stuff from before it was just fixed behind. But there's a store here, but there's also another store over here, and this is a separate nav mesh. And having multiple nav meshes that don't start at the center of the world was a huge pain in the butt to figure out. But this one does that too. There's another store. It's basically the same. There's a little guy in there. He's basically doing the same thing, but this is a separate nav mesh than the one way over here by the other store. So that's something that's kind of laying the groundwork for doing AI and enemies and all that stuff that's going to come later. What else have I been working on? Oh, I added a configuration page, so now I can it's not a web page, a configuration section, so now I can change like the anisotropic filtering and the anti-aliasing and the vsync and all that. So for instance, if I turn that all off and I start the game, you can see like if you look over in the distance here, all of this stuff looks really blocky and whatnot. But if I change it to 16x and start the game, stuff in the distance over here looks a lot smoother. So that's a cool little thing. What else have I been working on? That's pretty much as far as like the visible changes. A lot of the stuff I've been doing has it's kind of behind the scenes cleanup. Like for instance, little details like now when bullets ricochet off something, they actually ricochet off the correct angle. And I made another video showing how to do this, but that was a headache to figure out. But now this works correctly. I extracted all of the like time management out into like a clock node that handles all of the time. Again, this is a small thing, but it really cleans up the code in a lot of places. Before it was kind of intertwined with the code that like managed the wind and like the clouds and the lighting and whatnot, but now it's separate. Um, what else did I change? Oh, the sun. I completely overhauled how that worked. Now the sun is its own thing. It has a directional light, and then there's a raycast that's used from the sun to the middle of the camera to tell when the sun should have a lens flare. Like for example, this little lens flare here will turn off if there's something between the player and the sun. Uh, what else have I been doing? Oh, like the sky for doing sunsets and sunrises. There's nothing. There's no code to show. I completely changed the way that worked and cleaned up the code. So now it's still using the default Godot sky shader. That it's a procedural sky shader, so it has this problem of when the frame rate changes. Let me see. Let me if I can show that. It will, or when the frame rate changes every couple of seconds, when like the sky moves or the sun moves, it will regenerate the sky here, so the blue and like the slight orange will change, and you can see it dips the frame rate. So that's something I'm still gonna have to change, but this is all kind of abstracted away in the sky node here, so that takes care of all of that stuff as far as like, is it sunrise or the start of sunrise or the middle of sunrise or the end of sunrise. So that's a lot more clean, and it will adjust the ambient lighting, so when it gets dark out it'll be very dark and you won't really be able to see much, but then when it's like high noon it's a lot more bright. um, what else did I do? A lot of other little things clean up with the code. Where is the player? Before, the player camera was a lot more complicated. Right here, like we had multiple joints for when you want to pan to the right or up and down, but now it's a lot more simple. There's just one. So that cleans up the code and makes it a lot less jerky when the camera's bumping into things and gets kind of moved. Um, I think that's pretty much it. Again, not much from the outside has changed because it's a lot of inside stuff and a lot of cleanup and me learning how to do nav meshes and whatnot. But this really will lay the groundwork for changes coming down the line. And I don't know. So far, recording in the garage here has been good. Nobody has run over me, so maybe I'll be able to do this again later because I'm working on a few more tutorials, like how to do sunsets and how to do raycast collisions for really small objects that will fall through the terrain, and a few other things. But um, oh, we now have a website, ImmersiveRPG.com, where I have some links. So if you go there, you can find our links to like the Reddit page and GitHub, Twitter, mine's YouTube, BitChute. Uh, for some reason, Twitter is very restrictive on if I like post videos and stuff. Sometimes it won't let me post a video if it's slightly too long or whatnot, so I can just post it on Minds or BitChute or whatever. So go check all that out. Um, uh, I'll talk to you guys later. All right, thanks.